What's happening, people? Peace to the family. Love from Zimbabwe. What's going on? Yeah, talk to me. Man, I was working out earlier and I had some good thoughts that came to mind. But I want to talk to the people real quick. I would love to talk to some Trumpers and some Democrats in the building, right? Somebody say talk about Jewish supremacy or talk about white supremacy. Is it a competition? I didn't know it was a competition. Hey, y'all be moving the bar crazy these days. Because my grievance, right, I'll tell you with both sides, is that y'all starting to treat government like God, right? You're starting to treat government like God. The Trumpers and the mullahs starting to treat government like God. And what I mean by that is that, when I grew up, one of the things you can never do, you can't talk about nobody mama, and you can't talk about God. You can't talk about people mama, you can't talk about God. You ain't supposed to speak God's name in vain. No disrespect on God whatsoever. Right? And no disrespect on nobody mother. Almost fighting words. Like, you know what I mean? Like everybody get on you collectively. You talk about God. And I was thinking about that. And I said, damn, man, this is the way now people treat their politicians. They starting to treat government like God. And I think it's because people forgetting that it's still big government that we're going for. And how do we know this? Because no matter what Trump does, you can be a Trump supporter, but if you can't criticize him or be critical of him, then you treat him like God. And it's the same thing for the other side. And for me, it represents something very sad that's taking place. I don't care. You go vote for who you want to, but when you start treating them like God, now it's starting to become one of those things like Kanye say, where slavery becomes a choice because things are supposed to be a part of your political strategy if you believe that they align with your plans, but they're not supposed to actually become your savior. That's not what the system was designed to do, right? The people was always supposed to be the ones in power, especially in case of a tyrannical government, that they were supposed to form Voltron, right? And enact and enforce change. That's what the original writers of the Constitution had in mind. Check and balance systems of power. The people were supposed to always be the power, and it was set up for the people to have power, but because the people have lost their way, they lost their morals, they lost their knowledge, right? They lost their understanding of the system. You're starting to treat the system like God. You're starting to treat presidents like Caesar. And it's disappointing. When I made the comment about respect, that's what it was about. Growing up, I never seen the type of disrespect that I see today that has become commonplace. And I don't care who is made fun of. You have to demand respect at a high level at all times. It ain't no out of context. The context is y'all don't know how to be critical of Caesar. Because if you a Trumper, tell me one critical thing that you said. If you are a Democrat, tell me the critical things that you say against Democrats. This lets me know that you a thinking and free human being. I ain't saying whether you are for their side. Tell me whether you can actually be critical of them. If you can't be critical of them, I can't listen to you and I can't trust you. Because then that's when it becomes a cult. And you have to understand that black and brown people specifically can afford disrespect like anybody else can because we at the bottom. And then let me read you the definition of deflection because the tools that you have in your intellectual disposal is your lack of thinking, right? Because most of y'all wouldn't come on here and actually have a conversation with me because you can't back up your points unless you go through low emotional tirades. Deflection comes from an insecurity. Most people just deflect. That's all it is. It's psychological deflection. It's psychological deflection. When you're dealing with something serious, you have to demand seriousness in that issue. That's code. But when the people have a lack of self-respect for themselves, there's an erosion of identity and there's erosion of unity and collective identity. There's stagnation and decline in growth. There becomes a rise in conflict and internal struggles. You become vulnerable to external influence and control. And then it takes a toll on your mental impact and emotional well-being. You can't tell me that part of this that we're in today is that you're at this point where we have not dealt with the lack of respect that we've had in this country on both sides. If you want to vote on either side, that's on you and your business and what you do and your political beliefs and how much faith you have in these systems. But if you can't be critical, then you a slave and a sucker. You a slave and a sucker. That is what it is. It ain't no way around that. Nothing, nothing around that. You know you can still be critical and still go vote for whoever you want to, right? You know it doesn't change what you do. Look at Monday. Some of y'all just also retarded too. Yeah, I use the hard R. We just gonna say it like that. Some of y'all don't even know. So I would love for a Trumper or a Kamala. Somebody said you can't be pro masculinity and go for Kamala. See, that's more deflection. You can pro masculinity is not dependent upon Donald Trump. I'm, I'm gonna be a man regardless. You sound like the women that say they can't be feminine because they don't have a masculine man. Now you starting to sound really weird. I don't know a single ancestor in history that required a president to be masculine. No, oh man, I come from a radical tradition of our ancestral lineage. You know what I mean? Like the Malcolms, the Farrakhan's. I ain't never seen none of them have a dependency problem on Republicans or Democrats to be who you gonna be. So that's a very weird answer that you gave. Pro masculine, so you gotta vote for Trump. Come on, man. Just be yourself. Be a god. What's wrong with y'all? Like, this is what I mean. Like, we done got very low in what our discussion is today. We done got very low in what our discussion is today. And and really my focus is after the election. Because the election gonna happen. Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. Right? That's not it. The goal is, what are your plans afterwards? And I know a lot of you work jobs, um, and you're busy, right? And so what happens is you might not have that much time to think. So I understand that. But when you actually had time to think, then that's when you start to gain clarity and understanding. And you start to understand, why do we do things? And some of y'all are so busy, you don't actually know what you're talking about because you haven't had really time to reflect. You haven't had time to do research. You haven't had time to study history, right? You haven't had time to go to the root of anything. You're just taking talking points and throwing them at the screen. You're just taking talking points and throwing them at the screen. You see what somebody else said and be like, oh, I'll pick that up. I don't have time to think about it myself. That's not true thinking. True thinking is a deliberate act. True thinking is what leaders do, to actually think through a problem with rationale and logic to gain clarity. Because A vote is just part of what you believe is a tactic amongst many that can be utilized mostly down ballot when there are things that matter. Like my brother hit me up, and they don't normally hit me up about political things. They be like, Keys, you radical. But I'm like, I've had two presidential candidates on my platform. Two presidential candidates. That's more than, 99.9% of the world will ever have on their platform. Right? I'm not against y'all going there and doing whatever y'all want to when it comes to voting. But when it comes to making sure that we're setting ourselves up for the future, because black media and black business and entrepreneurship and black family, right? Our health, our communities, our power, influence, and force, these are things that matter. My criticism of the Democratic Party is the fact that they're heavily on censorship. Now, how can we, at the beginning stages of building out our own media, and they're going for censorship? They want more censorship. And that disproportionately affects black men who are building an economy around influence. And historically, right, they've utilized media, which media is the most powerful unelected group in the world, to shape our reality, to villainize us. So for me, that's a very important thing. So no, I'm not with that 100%. You see, I can be critical of both sides at both times without having to deflect on someone else. See, when you spend time in reflection, then you don't have to do deflection. You know what I'm talking about? There's so many different things that I believe the Democratic Party represents that's going to be bad for our community. And because they're not sitting down with real voices, right? Like they're going to have the interview with Shannon Sharp. But if I'm being honest, as a consultant, I would have told them, that's cool. Go over there and do that. But here's the reality. That's a base you already have. Shannon Sharp doesn't have deep intellectual conversations. He doesn't deep dive on different subjects like that. So all you're doing is energizing votes that you already have. The Democrats claim that Donald Trump is the most radical, biggest threat to democracy, yet they're not willing to do anything radical to so-called defend democracy. And if that's the case, then they would have to go beyond their normal means and stop trying to stand next to people that you think are safe. You asked me why I don't speak on Dr. Cornel West. First of all, let's be Dr. Cornel West. I've had him on his show. I can't wait for him to come back on my show. I think he's one of our most brilliant philosophers of our age. But Dr. Cornel West is not going to win this election. It's actually not statistically possible. So I'm focusing on the large group of segments where there's tens of millions of people who are going to be voting for these people because I'm speaking to both sides. And when I did the episode, if y'all would have got it to millions of views, but guess what? They censored the RFK interview I did, and they censored the Cornel West interview that I did. So how can I have faith in the political system when it's a two-party system that uses its money, power, and force, right, to shut out all other candidacy and parties, and then claim that it's a democracy when it's a republic? So all I wanted to do is come on here and ask my Trumpers, have you or can you actually say anything critical of the person you're going with? All I wanted to do is ask my Democratic people, can you or have you said anything critical of the Democrats publicly? Because then we would get somewhere as a society. Because what would happen is you would then have the people at a point of agreement versus the country has actually gotten worse during the election season because it's divided the people terribly. But when both sides are critical of their political opponents, then that's when the people come to an agreement, and then that's when there's more unity. But if both are deflecting, right, and acting like the other side is crazy when they say something, then all that does is create more in-house fighting. And the last thing that people need to be is divided. So this is the game that's always played. When the government starts to fail, they always divide the people. So the people can never take up a movement that then positions them to produce real change and impact. a game. It's always been the game, and it's always going to be the game. So we need to have more conversation about the future because the future is at risk right now. Even seeing conversation around artificial intelligence in this race. There's so much identity politics and things of that nature that we're missing so many critical junctures in time to have conversation around policy or lack of policy, the future of education, the future of health, right, and science and technology in this country. And because you're not putting that as an importance during this season, these things are being built into the framework of the technology, ready to control the people. You talking about creating jobs and giving out loans, yeah, because the people gonna need it because they ain't gonna have nowhere to work. He literally building out robots of factories. And we have to speak upon the overhaul of the education system that is going to be needed for the next generation and be prepared for what's to come because they're not going to be able to just build wealth off TikTok. There are different types of intelligences that we need to have. And we need to understand that, I was studying the Hopi people, and they have a prophecy about the signs that come when the world is near an end or there's a new Armageddon time. Right? Talk about when the seas warm up and technology gets to a place to where we start to corrupt our own earth and we become disconnected from that. And then that's when we enter into the most dangerous period, right, of human history. And we are there. The prophecies and all of the things have now come into fruition. And the people acting like you don't see the writing on the wall. And maybe it's because of fear that we want to distract ourselves, right? And try to position some things to be more important as if they're going to change the things that we're not paying attention to. They have Google got the AI now that can control your computer for you. They they built the AI with the software, the AI bias that's being built into it. We're not keeping up with the AI policies. These things are going to disproportionately affect Black and brown Americans, taking jobs away that you think are safe. So there has to be radical change, and we are happy with the little because in some ways, people are just voting to keep things sane, not move things forward. We have to talk about the new emerging economies that are going to come out this. We have to talk about the 15-minute cities that have been proposed. We have to talk about the future of censorship and how to get around it. We have to talk about the change in individualism that is going to come to a plateau and how people need to learn how to shift their skill sets and learn how to build and be a part of communities. We have to talk about the pending World War III, right, that's looming right now in the air. And if it happens, do we have compounds and preparations and emergencies? Come on now, there's so many topics that have now become completely thrown into the background of the American mind because we're not actually talking about innovation, and Americans supposed to be innovative and inventive, but that spirit has now lost. And here's sister, I'm gonna read your comment. You say Kamala has the experience in the White House with political parties. She's already known throughout. She's our best to get blacks in the door for real change. She's a good anchor so far. So here's my critique upon that statement. If you're waiting for Kamala Harris to produce change for you and your family, then you are automatically going to lose. I just want to say that, right? Both people will create two different economies, and both of those economies you can take advantage of. But Kamala Harris is not going to be the savior for Black people. Black people mentality, right, and collective reliance and responsibility becomes their own savior. And that is a historic fact for all people throughout the history of the world. There's never been a government entity, right, or persons, because that's not their actual job. Her job is, and Donald Trump's job will be to provide opportunities for the people to take advantage of in the story. But if you don't have the mindset to take advantage of, or to even organize, or even know the points of opportunity that should be produced, you're going to lose. And here's another thing that a lot of black people get wrong during this time on both sides is that we will outwardly, we'll fight so hard. Look at this thing. And this for my Trumpers, because I want y'all to really think. The way that you can stand up and you can wear the brand of Donald Trump. You can defend Donald Trump. You can say he represents our masculinity. He represents the future. He represents the opposite of this, that, and the third. If y'all did that for other black men, if y'all did that for other black men, I promise you, we will win overnight. Overnight. I don't think you understand how much power you have and influence you have. They don't respect you because you don't do that for your own. And to my Democratic brothers, the way you can get on your podcast, the way you can talk about policy, the way that you can put your money into it, the way you can go outside to show your support for the Democratic Party. If you did that for young black men and leadership within our own community, we would win overnight. That's my real message because that's how we save ourselves and that's how we get respect from every other community. If our celebrities were willing to really get behind us, but here's a true fact on both sides. There's so many people, there's so much money being thrown around. There's so many people getting paid, and I understand that. And we're not talking about the monetary incentivization for people to so-called be politically radical during this time and activists. You're getting paid. I understand that. And unfortunately, we don't know how to sacrifice money for integrity so that we can actually have cultural and economic growth. If our Republican brothers and our Democratic brothers fought for black men the same way you're fighting for your political parties, we would change overnight. Now, everybody knows that this is a damn fact. There's nobody on either side that can negate that fact. White people know that's the truth. Brown people know that's the truth. Yellow, all colors of people know that's the truth. That if black people fought harder for black people and represented each other and didn't be like, oh man, you too radical, I can't stand next to you, or you not safe enough, or you say this, or you say that. If we really stood by each other and where we said the thing that we have that we're going to place above all those things is our cultural and economic growth, because we're operating as a collective thought tank or collective think tank, then we win overnight. Then the things that we ask and the reasons why we utilize our platforms would change, because then we would actually become less dependent upon the system, dependent upon ourselves. And the only time we needed the system is when we were so organized that we had demands. And we will go to them and negotiate based on those demands from our collective organization. Now, so here's the thing. So the way that we do that, and there's multiple ways, and I've studied multiple blueprints. There's a presentation of codes. There are silent organizations that are formed, right? That people decide to have a membership within. When I say membership, I'm not talking like, some club, right? I'm talking about a membership to where you adhere to the same values and code of ethics that you decide to be a part of, and you decide to utilize your power, influence, and resources towards. And it never has to be one person. It's about a collective group that then votes upon within their own governing body upon how they're going to utilize their collective resources, power, and influence one of the things that our ancestors were not able to do completely is ever come together at one table and form one organization amongst each other. We've had different points of agreement throughout time where we said we should work with government. Some people said let's work without the government, right? And then some people believe that you should do both. So, there's never ever been a point of agreement in the last 100 years as far as the whole black community making a decision upon what's the best way to move forward. But as we can study history, we know and we've seen organizations being built up to where they infiltrate, right? And then they execute. And behind that scenes, there's an agenda. So being able to look at success blueprints and study history for the last, since I would say the early 1900s, then we can successfully decide what those routes are. Now, I'm saying some of these things publicly, but behind the scenes and silently, that's what the movement is. Because we know that a lot of the times we actually don't want to be a part of these things. It's just this all we have. So we latch on to the thing that is closest to power. But it nowhere near resembles real power. Because what we have is influence, which is soft power, asking, but other communities have force, real power, where they have the ability to then enforce their position, enforce their political power. And I dare say that is the biggest difference between the black and Jewish community is influence versus force. So once we learn how to utilize both influence and force, we become a integral culture, and then we become powerful because then we have the ability to not only build but protect what we build. You also have to think about how we have so much void and so much lack of that we are looking for inspiration in the government. If Kamala becomes the first female president, there are so many women who are looking for that inspiration, specifically in the black and brown communities. But you have to ask yourself, why is that void there in the first place? And the goal should be filling that void by restoring a real culture so that you're not looking for government, a government role, right, to do what your culture is supposed to do. That feeling of empowerment should be within self. When Obama first ran, and he ran on things that we believed in, and we was always saying, man, a black president is gonna be everything. We gonna feel that. It will be empowering. That's what we felt like it would have been. But we also have to think about a lot of that comes from the voice that we've had for years. And it did raise the confidence of Black America for some time. It had a psychological effect. But the goal is to not need those things because our culture has that own effect. So the goal is to take the power out of the symbolism. But that only happens when we have a culture of substance. It only happens when we have a culture of substance. So there are groups that I like New Era Detroit. I like the brothers with the NOI with the Saviors Tour, right? Because they're really going into the communities and focusing on saving us and helping us save ourselves, rather. That's right. Because what is not truly being addressed is the mental illnesses of Black men in America. And it's hard for me to focus on any other aspect of a problem because I see so much illness in Black men that are close to me. Every month, there's another Black celebrity male dying of cancer or some other illness that could have been avoided. I see so many of our brothers that are on drugs, right? That have mental illnesses or that are in prison, and there's just this constant cycle. And I can't act like that's not the biggest problem in my reality. Because as a black man, if black men are not held high, then there's nothing to look forward to. There's no power. We have to be completely confident in our own leadership, power, and force. Because then our women can't even rest. And I speak from such a personal place of literally seeing my own brothers, you know what I mean, in those positions. My blood brothers. So my fight is a very personal fight to see us restore ourselves, and that is no dependency upon nobody else. That's something that we got to get together. And what I try to do is keep us focused on what our collective responsibility, what our self responsibility is, right? Our self reliance, because there ain't gonna be nobody that changed that outside of us. And I don't like to see so many of us start to have so much faith in a system that works very well against you. Because you can't tell me that what's happening right now is making black men more respected and powerful. And yes, I'm very selfish with that agenda. And if you're not with that, then you're not with me. You know? But if you with that, then let's lock in. You know? If you with that, then lock in with me. You know? And that's why I say the same way that we can speak about white leadership, I would never see, and this would be my challenge to y'all. Like, I bet you $1 billion, those same people that can post a picture of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump will never post a picture of Minister Farrakhan and say I support him no matter what. And this is why growing up my whole entire life, every time it gets to political season, I see the type of support that we should be giving each other. And that's why I focus outside of the political circus and theater. Because I'm like, y'all don't understand. Like when Martin Luther King was saying turn the other cheek and like love thy enemy and all of that was supposed to be directed towards us. But we can't do that. And that's a living legend. But imagine how much we can change overnight with that without even a single policy changing. The world would change overnight. So y'all gotta, it's hard for me to have a serious conversation with people who tell me to support somebody else but can't support me. You know, and when I say me, I'm talking about black men, black leadership. You did. Now, if you can do that, then you got my heart, you got my mind, you got my ear. I'm listening. But we can't do that for each other. So therefore, this is why we're at a point of stagnation. We've always been a one that fought for our freedom, right? We've always been a one that created social change, not only just for the black community, but for the entire world. And so, as a black man, specifically, I'm here to keep us focused on what we can do, regardless of the system, because I can't control Goliath. I can't control the outcome of the popular and the electoral vote. My influence is best used in making sure that we are restored and we show up as our best and we save ourselves. Because there's too many things that will never get addressed and that are not the job of the government to do in the first place. Yeah, I went to thug therapy in Oakland and I went to speak to them brothers, man. And I seen black men in therapy circles, young black men, older black men, with so much on their heart and their mind without a place to express it. And that's tough for me to see sometimes because I know how that is in my family. I grew up seeing family members break down to the point they smoking crack in front of me. And these are men that I idolized at one point. And I'm like, damn. I've seen black men who had standing armies and power, right? Die of cancer and accused of debauchery and all sort of sick things. I've seen men that built businesses and got it raided. I've seen us rise and fall over and over and over and over. yes, I'm sure as a white man, as a brown man, as an Indian man, you want to see your people win. You want to see your people at the top. I gotta respect that. As a black man, it has to be respected as well when we want to see us win. Because every other culture has a problem. They start talking about our statistics, start talking about our crime rates, start talking about all these things that we don't do. Okay, well then, if you're really against those things, then you should be in support of somebody who's working to change those things. And that goes for all of us. So I put the onus on you because voting is such a small measurement of your power. The way we align our values, the way we invest our dollars, right? The way we develop ourselves, the way we govern ourselves. That's how we save ourselves. Oh, and I'm glad that the comments have turned to be more positive. That means that those who I'm speaking to, right? You are more of the intellectual group that knows how to think and know how to listen. It's just I know that social media is so dangerous that they get us in our feelings and emotions about things. And it is very, very important. This election is important. I will say that. But it's not as important upon what you do for yourself. Because if we all take that internal savior attitude towards ourselves and we start to master those three planes, spiritual, mental, and physical, right? There's a shift that happens that can never be changed and stopped again. And the goal is to be the generation that can never be oppressed again. Be the generation that can never be tricked again. Be the generation that can never be duped again. Be the generation that is one of the greatest thinkers ever. And we become the utopia that our ancestors dreamed of. Like, I really believe in that now. I don't believe in, we got to wait 20 years for change. We got to wait 100 years for change. Change starts with the generation that decides it is. It's a decision. I know we tired of the world that we live in. You go to the right place and it can shift you, man. When I was in Japan, and I got so much I want to share. I just feel like it was the right place at the right time because there's no amount of books, no amount of social media videos that I can watch, no amount of nothing could have compared to what it was like to actually go there, right? It was a masterclass through experience. I've been developing my master ability to communicate my whole life since I was young. I've been speaking on stages. I was literally bred for this. One of the things that impacted me the most about Japan was their culture. You know, I'm somebody who thinks about how to design things, and I have a whole entire, like this impacted my lecture that I'm going to be giving, 1122. But the culture there, because once you start to understand, number one, a lot of people don't know the hidden connection between the Japanese and black people. Because you also got to remember when they lost the war, rather, history is told by the victors. So most of our movies are propaganda about the patriotic feeling that they want you to have after a war, right? So you actually don't get so much history that's missing in between. But the Japanese people actually have a very powerful history, right? And how they were able to develop such a ironclad culture. That's not perfect, right? They have a lot of mental illness because a lot of that is about the shame that they get of trying to live up to the standard of perfection, right, in their daily lives. And we have almost the opposite, you know, because we have too much individualism and they have too much group thinking, right? So we know that anytime there's too much of one thing, it develops a sickness. There has to be a balance. And so this new generation is trying to deal with being in a modern world, right? And living by the Bushido, which is basically the samurais or the warriors' way. It's a code because they have a way for everything and a reason for everything. But it's such a well-designed city. Things that in America is so confusing when we see signs and you go across different places and there's not a standard for the beautification of certain areas in the design, but it's created with human beings in mind, right? In America, it's created with profit in mind. That's completely different when you're trying to maximize profit versus you trying to maximize, right, quality of life and human impact and empathy. So in America, capitalism is what has allowed America to build such a vast economy, but it also has destroyed the people and sacrificed the people health and mental health and quality of life and joy. And we talk about America being the number one country, not because the people are healthy, not because the people are smart, not because the people are joyful, not because we're the most technological and scientific people on the planet Earth. No, we're literally talking about how much money and how much military might America has. So it changes even our aspects and ideas around wealth. Their wealth building process is different than our wealth building process. Theirs is more long term and slow building of wealth and more risk adverse in real estate, stocks, bonds. And, in America, there's a give and take, and you have to understand when sometimes we have something good, it's like a technology. If the technology is not clean, right? The results of that technology produce a side effect reality. And that's the sicknesses that come along with it. It's like we might have a iPhone, but is that also feeding, right, a genocide of people in a coal mine? These are questions that we don't usually ask. We don't think about the side effects of what we do because we don't have a lot of clean technology, and we don't think about our connection to earth like Native American people have historically and indigenous tribes and people. We rob the earth of its minerals and think that it will have no effect on reality and how that affects us, right? And we completely became disconnected. So suicide rates are high in America, mental illnesses are high in America, yet we keep boasting that America is number one, right? Literally, men and women are arguing about whether they want to be with each other in America. You know how messed up that is? You know how low you got to be? Like we didn't got to a very strange point to where, by all means, make as much money as you can. You know, uh, you supposed to get your money. You supposed to build your wealth. We ain't had enough for us to be like, no, I don't get your money. But has to be, and there has to be another way that we grade wealth as well. Because I know too many people that's depressed, but they got money, right? And they don't have nothing else. There's a lot of women that got houses but not homes. Single women are the number one sector in, buying homes and buying houses, but they don't have homes. And they overstressed and they burnt out. And a lot of these young men so soft, the women don't want them. You know what I'm talking about? The women don't want them. They don't want these soft ass dudes. I don't blame you. I'm a one on one. I understand. You know, Unfortunately, God only made one of me, man. He tried to give me a twin. I said, nah, I ain't gonna handle this by myself. Let me handle this. I'm good. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate all your wisdom and everything, but let me just be the only one with this genetic makeup. Let me just go out there and just be me. You know what I'm saying? Let me just do me. You know what I'm saying? He said, all right. He said, all right. So I don't plan on, if there was a business in the future, 50 years in the future, and I needed to really help the earth, I'll clone myself. Like if it just got that bad and I'm like, you know what, take the DNA, man, just go clone me and just we good from there. I do that. If it gets that bad, I got y'all, you know. But for now, man, I'm enjoying being a one-on-one. You know what I'm talking about? The communication class is starting next month. We're going to start enrollment for the communication mastery class. But yeah, man, I think the world could do better with more of me. I'm just being honest. When they say save yourself, talk about it. It's like if I had to clone myself. You know what I mean? Because I ain't gonna lie, ladies, y'all know y'all got it tough out here. Fellas too. Like I'm gonna be honest, these filters, the filters is bad out here. It's bad out here. Because a lot of women don't really know, they don't really have confidence in what they really look like. They have confidence in what the filter makes them look like to the world that they project. You know, they got to wake up early before they man to put their makeup on just so that they can look like the filter version. Hey, and that's dangerous. Now that's dangerous. I don't like that. They got to when they take the makeup off and then cut all the lights down so they can walk in the bedroom because then the low dim light become a filter as well. This the low dim filter. Come on, man, you gotta love yourself because it also it raises an expectation that you can't meet. So you got to be careful with that. You know what I mean? You got to be careful with these small little clips because people think that that's really you. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's dangerous to show the best of yourself only all the time because in reality you can't keep up to that. Now you know, like I said, I'm one of the rare human beings. You know, if I can I can beat expectation in real life. You know what I'm saying? I'm fine. You know they say don't meet your heroes. You know what I'm saying? People is like, that's not true with everybody. You know what I'm saying? But part of that is superior confidence within yourself. I know some of y'all don't like what I'm saying. Listen, there's brothers out there going to get kneecap surgery to get taller. You know what I'm saying? There's brothers out there changing their eye color. It's a lot of stuff going on, man. Like this is the most transgeneration ever in history, right? Shout out to all the women that became artists that learned how to couture their face, but I just want us to get back to a point of loving ourselves. That's what it matters, and that's what it's really about. Yeah, man. Listen, in my shows, you know, it's always gonna be some humor in it. So if you got tough skin, that's on you. I mean, soft skin, that's on you. But there's truth in humor, you know. No, the gym done got bad, man. First of all, I need to go build my own gym like my brother Simeon Panda. The gym done got bad. First of all, men and women be wilding in the gym, but dudes be tripping in the gym. You know, these people be out there wearing boxers in the gym. Grown ass men wearing boxers. Like, why you need? Why like? How much of your body you need to see where you working out? Like, you doing too much. And then women go to the gym. The gym is the new club. You know what I'm saying? And the gym is the new club. I already know the gym is the new club. Yeah, they like. There's no reason for you to be getting that dressed up for the gym. And then I don't understand how some people live in the gym, but I never see their body change. There's some people every day I go to the gym. It don't matter. I can switch my time up. I can go at 6 in the morning, or I can go 12 in the middle of the day, or I can go late at 11 at night, and they still at the gym. How are you there every single time? It's something that I have yet to understand. The same people, like they abusing their membership at this point. I don't know if they homeless or not. It's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that they just live there. They take a shower. You know what I'm saying? They eat, make a little content. You know, go out in the day a little bit, and then come back to the gym. But it is crazy because no matter what time I go, I know all y'all done seen some people like that. I'm starting to think they like NPCs. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the gym just hired them to like fill up the gym a little bit. But I don't understand because they be working out so much, and when I work out, I see my body change. You know what I'm saying? Like I start to get a little bigger and stuff. I'm in the mirror. I start doing the little strongman flexes and stuff. You know, get the quads and the lats and all the biceps and all that stuff, the triceps and the quadriceps and all that stuff start working. But some of them, man, they be working out so much, I don't think it's working. I don't think it's working. Like I'm not even sure what the goal is at this point. Like unless you like going for like one of those, you know, bodybuilding competitions, or like you be trying to become the strongest man in the world, you know, I'm not understanding like what y'all doing in the gym so much. Letting some new people come in the gym. Cause I ain't gonna lie, I get tired of seeing the same people. So now I start thinking about, damn, do I want to go to that gym? It's gonna be bruh here, it's gonna be there, they gonna be on this machine. Like I'm starting to know exactly who gonna be in there. You know what I'm talking about? Now I gotta go to a different gym just to avoid the NPCs because it feels too mundane. They like furniture in the gym. And then when they see you all the time, want to talk to you, think they know you and stuff. You don't know me, man. Work out, chill out, relax. You know what I'm saying? And I always want to catch you when you in your mood too. I'll be in there vibing, turned up. Hey Keys, what's going on? Good to see you, brother. What you doing here? What I'm doing here? What you mean what I'm doing here? You know, people be trying to make a conversation. They just start asking you questions that they know don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? What you got going on, bro? I'm working out, man. Are you working on chest? That's why I'm on the chest machine. Yeah, that's why I'm on the chest machine. Yeah, that's why I'm on the bench. I'm doing chest right now. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you got two plates on there. Yeah, that's two plates. You just pointing stuff out at this point. You want to tell me about the weather too? You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, the gym is a funny place, but certain gyms I just can't go to. You know what I mean? And the LGBT community ain't gonna like this, but certain gyms it's too much rainbow in the air. It's too much. You know, you got to know what gyms to stay away from. Cause some these brothers be wearing speedos in the gym. I said, oh no, I don't know what's going on here, but I can't finish this workout. I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? Like I listen, it's bad. So I got a few gym memberships because I need variety. I need to be able to move around, right? Like when I'm in Atlanta or when I'm in LA or when I'm somewhere in the world. Equinox is a good one because I can go to anyone in the world, right? But also, most of the gyms they rock with me, so they just let me in for free. So I like going to the gym nobody know about as well, because that's when people be getting a real workout in. But I ain't gonna lie, man, y'all gym outfits, there need to be some new etiquette for gym. People be wearing the halter tops and stuff. Like I don't understand how men wearing halter tops in the gym. Like you got all your abs out, and then the gym say no shirts off. You might as well let shirts off if that's the case. Like they it's brothers that now like the fitness gear is getting crazy. Literally be wearing bras. You know what I mean? Talking about it help with the lifting of the back, bro. That's a bra. I'm just saying, like when I'm putting together an athleisure brand, you know what I mean, and when I do my athleisure brand, man, it's gonna be a little more, you know what I mean, standard and masculine for us. You know what I'm saying? Because some of these things should be outlawed and it be illegal because y'all messing up people's fitness journeys. This is what you're doing. You scarring them for life. You know what I'm saying? You scarring them for life. I'm gonna tell you one thing though, what I love seeing in the gym is big people. Big people and old people, man. When I see old people in the gym, I get inspired. Old people inspires me in the gym, right? Because that's life. When I was in Japan, all I seen was old people working out. First of all, they don't have a word for they don't believe in retirement, right? So they just die on the job. Like I seen a man, he had to be 101 and he was working security. I don't know what the hell he was gonna do. But he was there working security. You know what I mean? Now he could stand up though straight. I came to America, everybody falling over. You know what I mean? Because everybody in America is big. So they got 4 to 5% obesity rate out there. In America, it's like 40 to 50% plus, right? And so it's unfortunate because we huge in America. And I mean like huge. It's a huge problem in America, right? But I love seeing big people in the gym because it just gives me so much hope for the future. Like when I'm talking about like really big people too, not regular, just a little, you know what I'm saying? I'm like big people going to the gym. Big people and old people inspire me the most. Not the muscle heads, none of that. Big people and old people. And in America, we got to really focus on the fact that number one, there's so much chemicals in our food. There's so much fats in our food because the corporations have so much influence and so much power that they're just addicting people and making them fat. But the fact that America is 50% of people have obesity and then another percentage of those people have some other issues is like all of America is sick basically. And it's a very small percentage of people who are actually healthy in America. So to me, that makes us like a third world country, and we think it's normal. Like I know there's some big people on here right now, and no disrespect to you, but we got to get it together. This your sign. You know what I'm saying? This is your sign. Like we overeating. You can't use food as a coping mechanism. You know what I mean? For loneliness, right? We gotta fast a little bit. You gotta relax. You know, because when I start working out, I was think I was at like 21, 22% body fat. I gotta go redo it now, but I know it's low, low. You know what I'm saying? It's low, low now. But that's just because I was eating right the wrong foods. And so part of my transformation was really just being mindful of what my intake was, right? And learning how to be at a caloric deficit to where, you burning energy, burning more energy. And then when you do that, you making sure you eating the food to replenish that muscle every time you destroying it. It's not that hard to get into shape, but it does require some education and understanding of one's own body. You know what I'm saying? But we can't, like black men, we gotta get our health together. It's bad out there. My brother Blue Pill say the people he see in the gym the most is the white women be going hard in the gym. I need to see more of us in the gym. Go get your membership. You ain't gotta be in the gym. Go outside and do some push-ups. You know what I'm saying? Go get on a tree branch and do some pull-ups. You can't afford it, you can still do some burpees. Get you a program in. There's actually no excuse to not be fit and healthy because it actually saves you money. It gives you more energy for your success, right? And when you feel good, you do good. You're gonna make more money, help fitter. When I was out at Invest Fest, a lot of people was telling me how much weight they lost following my journey, and that's beautiful. Some of they lost like 100+ pounds and things of that nature. Man, I love that. Like let's focus on being, the greatest version of ourselves at our 100% self. That's really the goal. Becoming your 100% self.